If you're planning to make changes to your home in 2026, you need to see this because I'm about to show you 8 home trends that won't survive 2026 and the simple swaps that keep your space looking expensive long term. Stick around to the end because number 1 is the trend that makes a house feel dated the fastest. All right, let's start at number 8. The all-gray everything house. Gray felt like the safest choice for years. It photographed clean, it matched everything, and it made people feel like they were playing it smart. Builders loved it for the same reason. You could repeat the formula in every room and it always looked new. But in real life, this trend is already aging fast. The problem is that most of these grays lean cool. In daylight, they can feel flat and a little sterile. At night, under warm bulbs, they can shift into weird blue or green tones that make the whole room feel colder than it should. And when the gray stacks up, gray floors, gray walls, gray cabinets, gray counters, it stops looking modern and starts looking like a time capsule from the late 2010s. It also makes your furniture work harder because nothing in the room has warmth or depth to balance it out. This is why the all-gray house will not survive 2026. The fix is not to swing into loud colors. It is to move toward warm neutrals that still feel clean but do not feel icy. Think soft grayish, bone sandy beige, creamy off-whites, and muted clay tones. Those shades hold up better in different lighting, and they make a home feel more welcoming instantly. Then, instead of trying to add style with more color, you add it with texture. Natural wood, linen, woven accents, stone, and soft metallic finishes create depth without dating the room. If you want your home to look expensive long-term, here's the takeaway. Less gray as a personality, more warmth as a foundation. Next up, the trend that looks high-end online, but turns into a constant cleaning battle in real kitchens and bathrooms. Number 7 is the matte black takeover. It looks bold, it looks modern, and in a perfectly lit photo, matte black hardware can make a basic space feel instantly upgraded. That's why people fall for it. A black faucet, black pulls, black lights, black frames. It feels like a clean, confident choice. Then real life shows up. Matte black loves to collect fingerprints, water spots, soap film. In homes with hard water, it can start looking dusty even when it is freshly cleaned. And once the finish gets scratched or worn, the damage is loud. You cannot unsee it. There is also a balance problem. Too much black starts to feel heavy and harsh, especially in smaller rooms. Instead of looking designed, it can feel like a checklist trend, like someone bought the same package for every room. This is why it won't survive 2026. People are already shifting toward finishes that feel softer, warmer, and easier to live with. If you want the same designer effect without the daily maintenance, go for brushed nickel, polished nickel, stainless, or even warmer brass tones. These hide wear better, and they play nicer with most color palettes. If you still love black, keep it as a supporting character. 1 or 2 moments can look sharp. A whole house of it is where the regret starts. And now we're moving into a trend that looks airy and high-end on camera, but becomes a lifestyle commitment the minute you start cooking. At number 6, replacing upper cabinets with open shelving. On social media, it looks dreamy. The kitchen feels bigger, the wall feels lighter, and those perfectly stacked plates make it look like you live inside a magazine. But the part people do not show is what happens after a normal week. Steam and grease float up, dust settles, and suddenly your cute shelf moment becomes a surface you have to wipe constantly. If you actually cook, it is not a question of if things get grimy, it is when. There is also the pressure factor. Open shelves turn your storage into decor. That sounds fun until you realize your kitchen is now performing all day. One mismatched mug, one cereal box, one pile of random cups from guests, and the whole wall looks messy. And most people do not own matching dish sets. That is normal. A kitchen is supposed to work, not audition. So why does this trend fade by 2026? Because the average homeowner wants a space that stays clean without extra effort, and cabinets win that fight every time. If you love the look, the smarter move is using open shelving in a smaller zone. 1 shelf over a coffee station, 2 shelves in a pantry nook, a single styled run that does not carry the entire weight of storage. Another option that keeps the vibe but adds real function is glass front upper cabinets. You get the visual softness, but your dishes are protected from dust and cooking residue. Now, would you rather have more storage or more open space in the kitchen, even if it means extra cleaning? Now, at number 5, let's shift into the layout trend that sounded amazing in theory, but is quietly getting replaced by something more practical. The full open concept layout. Turning your kitchen, dining, and living room into one giant shared zone felt like the ultimate flex. More light, more space, more room for hosting. And when you walk through a model home, it feels like freedom. Then you live in it. Sound has nowhere to go. One person is watching TV, someone is on a work call, someone is doing dishes, and it all blends into one constant noise layer. Smells do the same thing. Cook something strong once, and it hangs around, not in a cozy way, in a why does my couch smell like garlic bread way. There's also the lifestyle shift that's making this age fast. More people are working from home. More families want separate zones. People want a room that can be quiet, or closed off, or simply not on display when life gets messy. That doesn't mean the answer is chopping your house into tiny boxes again. The future look is what designers call broken plan. You still get light and flow, but you add soft boundaries. A wide archway instead of a wide open hole. A half wall with built-ins. A glass divider that keeps sight lines but cuts noise. Even a ceiling change or a fireplace wall can create separation without killing the openness. Here's the cheat code. Keep the connection. Bring back control. If this is saving you from a future regret, hit like and subscribe because we post simple home advice that keeps your space looking expensive and living easy. Next up, we're going to a fast-growing luxury finish that people keep copying, but most homes only need in very small doses. Coming up at number 4, the overuse of fluted panels and slat walls. At first, this trend felt like a cheat code. You take a plain wall, add vertical texture, and suddenly the room looks custom. It can make a basic entryway feel expensive. It can make a media wall look intentional. It can even hide awkward proportions that would normally be hard to style. So yes, in the right spot, it works. The problem is what happened next. People started putting it everywhere. Behind the TV, on the island, in the hallway, in the bedroom, on the fireplace, sometimes all in the same house. And once a detail shows up in every room, it stops reading like design and starts reading like a trend package. That's the real issue. These panels are meant to be a supporting detail, not the whole storyline. When one texture becomes the main character in every space, the home loses variety. There's no quiet wall to let art breathe, no simple surface to make furniture look more intentional. Everything competes for attention. Instead of feeling layered and collected, it feels pre-made, like a set, like a menu option. There's also the practical side people do not think about until later. A lot of these installs use thin materials. They dent easily. Seams can show as the house shifts with seasons. Corners chip from normal bumps and vacuum hits, and those grooves collect dust in a way you don't notice day to day. Then, the light hits it and you suddenly see a line of grime you can't ignore. If the spacing is slightly uneven, or the finish is slightly cheap, the whole wall can start looking tired fast. This is why it won't survive 2026 in its current form. Texture is not going away. The copy-paste version is. If you like this look, keep it specific. One focal zone only, like a small entry niche, a bar area, or a single wall that truly needs detail. Then balance it with calmer surfaces and timeless trim so your home still feels designed when the trend cools off. Up next at number 3 is a kitchen trend that people think adds personality, but it usually adds mess and visual noise instead. Busy backsplashes and tiny mosaic tile overload. This one usually starts with a good intention. People want the kitchen to feel less plain. They want movement. They want a little personality. So they pick a small tile with a lot of pattern and a lot of grout lines, thinking it will look detailed and designer. And on a sample board, it does. But once it goes across a full wall, especially behind a stove and sink, the reality hits. More grout means more maintenance. It discolors faster. It traps grease. It catches splashes. And even when it is clean, it can still look slightly grimy because tiny grout lines create visual fuzz. There is also the design issue. A busy backsplash fights everything else. It fights the counters. It fights the cabinets. It can make the kitchen feel loud even if the colors are neutral. Instead of looking elevated, it can start to feel like a trend snapshot from a specific era. By 2026, kitchens are leaning toward calmer, cleaner surfaces with fewer lines. Not boring, just more refined. The easiest upgrade is going bigger. Larger format tile means fewer grout lines. A slab backsplash, the same material as the counter, looks seamless and expensive. Even a simple handmade look tile can work if the layout is clean and the grout choice is smart. If you still want a pattern, keep it controlled. Use it in a small niche, a bar area, or a pantry moment where it reads like an accent, not a full-time visual battle. And now we're about to hit a trend that looks fresh at first, but often ends up feeling cold and stressful to live in. At number 2, pure white. A lot of people think this is the safest design choice. White walls, white trim, white counters, white furniture, then a few black accents, and done. It feels clean. It feels bright. It feels like you can never mess it up. But this trend is already starting to feel dated, and here is why. When a space is white without warmth, it can read more like a listing photo than a home. The room looks polished for a second, then it starts feeling flat, because there is no visual weight holding it down. And the whiter you go, the more you notice every scuff, every ding, and every bit of clutter. It also messes with comfort. Under certain lighting, ultra-white can turn harsh. In the evening, it can feel sterile. In the day, it can glare. People don't realize how quickly that fresh feeling becomes tired. By 2026, the shift is less about going darker and more about going softer. Warm whites and off-whites are the move. Think creamy tones, soft ivory, or gentle shades that work in both daylight and lamplight. Then layer in natural materials to bring the room to life. Wood, woven textures, linen curtains, stone, and warm metals make the space feel finished without being busy. If you want contrast, do it with depth, not shock. A slightly deeper floor tone, a richer rug, a darker accent chair, even warmer bulbs, small moves that make the whole room feel more expensive and more human. Are you a white wall person, or do you need at least a little color to feel at home? And finally, at number 1, we're down to the trend that screams modern today, but is going to look the most outdated the fastest once 2026 hits. LED strip lighting overuse. Picture this. You walk into a renovated home and the first thing you notice is not the kitchen, not the floors, not the view. It is the glow, that cool blue strip under the vanity, the neon line under the cabinets, the light tucked behind the TV like the room is trying to cosplay a spaceship. LED strip lighting is number 1, and it is the trend most likely to look dated the fastest. It is not that hidden lighting is bad. Good lighting is one of the smartest upgrades you can make. The problem is how it is being used. Too many homes are installing cheap strips in random places, then running them at full brightness in icy colors because it looks dramatic on camera. In real life, it reads like a gaming setup, not a high-end interior. It also ages poorly. Adhesive fails, strips peel, corners lift. You get bright dots where the diodes show through. And once one section starts flickering, the whole luxury moment turns into a maintenance chore. Even worse, cool light temperatures make everything around them look worse. Skin looks washed out. White walls turn harsh. Wood looks gray. The room can feel colder, even when the thermostat is fine. By 2026, the homes that still look expensive will use lighting with restraint and intention. Start with warm, dimmable under-cabinet lighting that actually helps you cook. Add toe-kick lighting only where it improves safety at night. If you want a floating effect on shelves or a headboard wall, use proper channels and diffusers so the light line is smooth and clean, not dotted. Then build the room with layers. Overhead for general light, task light where you work, accent light for mood. When those layers are balanced, you do not need a neon glow to prove the space is modern. If your lighting looks better on your phone than it does in person, that is your sign to simplify and let the room breathe. If you've got one of these trends, don't panic. Most fixes are simple, and you can upgrade the vibe without ripping everything out. Comment which trend you're dealing with and which fix you'll tackle first. If you want a part 2, tell me what trend you keep seeing everywhere, and watch the next video on your screen. See you there.